right, this video is going to start off with a review for the 5.3 quiz, and then we'll get into the 5.4 homework. Okay, so on the quiz number 3, it says solve the system of equations by graphing. So it gives us two lines in standard form. So you can find one good point by doing it in the calculator like what we've been doing. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my calculator here, and it's menu 3, 2. Make sure it says 2, make sure it says x and y. So 5x minus 3y equals 6, and then 10x minus 6y equals 12. Okay, so what does that mean when it shows something like that on the screen? Do we remember what the solution is? It's infinite or no, so which one is that one? It's infinite. So we know that this is going to be the same line. Okay? So our next option, because we have to graph these, what we can do is we can find the x and the y intercepts. So to find the x-intercept, so of line A there, 5x minus 3y equals 6. I can make 5x minus 3. I can make that y a 0. Okay? And that's going to equal 6. And then I can menu 3-1 it. To find the y-intercept, I do the same thing except I make the x a 0. Minus 3, y equals 6. And that should give me some nice pretty points to go off of. So we're going to do menu 3-1 on both those equations there. So we've got 5x minus 3 times 0 equals 6. And then remember, comma x. And that gives me 1.2. That's not a nice pretty answer. I can't do anything with decimals. So we're going to try the other one. Help if I did the menu 3-1 first. 5 times 0 minus 3y equals 6, comma y. Ooh, that gives me a good point. So what we know that 1 point, so we made x is 0, so we've got one good point at 0, comma, and then that negative 2. That is one good point. But we need 2 points to make a line. So we're going to do the same thing with the other equation, the 10x minus 6y. We're going to do 10x minus 6 and change the y to 0. And then we're going to change the x to 0. And that's just finding the x and the y intercepts to see if we can find some good, nice, pretty points. All right, so we can do menu 3-1, 10x minus 6 times 0 equals 12, comma x. Well, that's a gross point. Menu 3-1, 10 times 0 minus 6y equals 12, comma y. Well, it gives us the same point. So we're still only left with 1 point. We've got to have 2. So, anybody remember how to find the slope off a standard form? Okay, give me a second. How do we find the slope in standard form? Negative a over b. So, a is a positive 5, so that becomes a negative 5. B is a negative 3. And then if we simplify that, you type that in your calculator, you get 5/3. If you know 1 point and you know the slope, you can graph a line. So, on our graph, we're going to put a point at 0, negative 2. We know that's a point. And then we know our slope is 5/3. So I'm going to count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to go over 3. That's line A. Line B, we already know it's the same line because we already checked it in our calculator. So I'm going to click on line B, and I'm just going to click. Ooh, it won't let me click the same points. I do not like that. Let's see if we can make it the same. Well, oh, there we go. You just got to click it and drag them. So your lines are going to sit on top of each other. Okay? So question number 4. Same way, it's in standard form. So we're going to solve it first. We're going to do menu 3, 2, and we're going to solve it. So x minus 3y equals 12. 4x minus 3y equals 21. So we know we're going to have a point at 3, negative 3. We know these are going to cross in one spot. So we've got our 1 point. So you've got 2 options here. You can do it this way and find your x and y intercepts. Or you can find your slope. I would find the slope. The slope is easier to do. All right, here we go. The first equation, x minus 3y equals 12. So remember, slope is negative a over b. So what's a for that first line? What's the a value? 3. What's the number in front of x?
1.
So it would be a negative 1. And then the b value is a negative 3. Again, type all your fractions in the calculator to get them in simplest form. Then we're going to do it for line B. So what's the a value for line B? 4. So make it a negative, negative 4. What's the b value? And again, if we simplify it, it's 4 over 3. Okay? So that's the slope for each of our lines, and we know we've got a starting point at 3, negative 3. All right, so now to graph it. All right, so 3, negative 3, we know there's a point there. So line A, we know the slope is 1 over 3. So from that point, we go up 1 over 1, 2, 3. Then we click on line B, and we know it's going to have this same point at 3, negative 3. So we click there again, you can kind of see it highlights it in green. But the slopes change. Now the slope is 4 over 3. So we go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. So using a lot of skills that we've learned over the past 3 units. Okay, give me a second, I'll come. All right, so now we're picking up with the 5.4 homework. So number 1, what is the name of a strategy for solving systems of equations that includes solving for one variable and using that solution to find the other variable? This is called substitution. And then number 2, what is the name of a solution in a system of equations in which the lines have the same slope but different y-intercepts? So the slope is the same, but the y-intercept's different. What kind of solution is that? If the lines look like this. If they're parallel, what's the solution? No solution. Okay. So this is one of the methods that you were supposed to learn this year. It's called substitution. What you do. I'm going to go back to assign seats. All right. X minus y equals 2. If you have one of the equations where there's no number, there's no coefficient, x minus y equals 2. I can solve for one of those. So I'm going to get x by itself. How would I get this x by itself? Add the y. So now I have x equals 2 plus y. What I can do is I can take that and I can plug it in for this x. Negative 2. And so instead of x, I'm going to do 2 plus y plus 4y equals negative 12. And then I can solve that equation. Okay? So that's just solving an equations menu 3-1. So I've got negative 2, 2 plus y plus 4y equals negative 12, comma y. And I get y equals negative 4. Sorry, it froze. And then all I have to do now, because remember I got to have both, I have to have an x and a y. Back in my original equation, swap out that y with a negative 4. X minus, so y is a negative 4. Remember, I can't drop that negative sign just because there's a minus there. Equals 2. And then I can solve that. Menu 3-1, x minus a negative 4 equals 2, comma x. Oop, what did I do wrong? X, negative 4 equals 2. X equals a negative 2. And those are the two pieces that I need. That's my ordered pair. You can always go back and check it, menu 3-2, and do it this way and type your equations in. This method will still work. The STAR test, though, occasionally likes to give you process problems. And those questions would be, if using substitution, what would the next step be? So you need to know the process, not just, oh, I can plug it in the calculator. And if we look, x is negative 2, y is negative 4. So I know you're sitting there going, why are you showing me this method where I got to do work by hand? But again, the STAR test likes to ask questions about method, about process. Okay. So 5. Again, I'm looking for the letter that doesn't have a number in front of it. So this one here is what I'm going to use. Negative 2x plus y equals 6. I want the y by itself. How would I get that y by itself? Add 2x plus 2x. So this cancels. And I'm not worried here about things being the right order. I know typically we would write 2x plus 6. But this, we're just using it as a placeholder. So it's not our final answer. It doesn't have to be in the right form yet. So if this is what y equals, up in the first equation, negative 4x plus 4, I'm going to swap out this y with this 6 plus 2x. And remember, anytime we do that swapping, we got to put it in parentheses. That's really important, especially on these. All right, so menu 3-1, negative 4x plus 4, 6 plus 2x equals 20, comma x. So here, x equals negative 1. That's one answer. So then I go back down to that second one again, and instead of an x, I'm going to put a negative 1. So instead of the x, I put a negative 1. And then I do menu 3-1 again. Negative 2 times negative 1 plus y equals 6, comma y. Sorry, it keeps freezing on me. There it goes. Y equals 4. And then again, you can check your work with menu 3-2. So negative 4x plus 4y equals 20. Negative 2x plus y equals 6. And it matches. So it never hurts to have more than one method for solving. It gives you some options, ways to check your work. All right. 7. 6x minus 4y. Oh, that's not the one I want to do. This is the one because it's got the x by itself. Negative x plus 3y equals 1. I want to get this x by itself. How do I do that? Okay, so I'm going to subtract the 3y, negative x, this cancels, 1 minus 3y. But the x still isn't by itself. How do I get, what do I do if I've got a negative sign over here? So I can, here's my options. I can divide everything by a negative 1, or I can flip everybody's sign. Negative x becomes positive, positive 1 becomes negative 1, negative 3y becomes positive 3y. So it has to be equal to x, not a negative x, or equal to y, not a negative y. I'm going to work this one in the calculator just for time's sake. I want you to have at least a couple minutes to work. So 6x minus 4y equals 22. Negative x plus 3y equals 1. So 5, 2. And then finally on this last one, everything's buddied up here. So what you can do on this second equation, all of those numbers are divisible by 3. So I can divide everything by 3, or actually, I can get the y by itself easier on this one. So I can add 6x to both sides. So I've got negative 15 plus 6x, and then I can divide everything by 3. You just don't want messy numbers. You're trying to avoid messy numbers. Negative 15 divided by 3 is a negative 5. 6 divided by 3 is a 2. But again, just for time, I'm going to use the LinSolve. So menu 3, 2. 3x minus 7y equals negative 20. Negative 6x plus 3y equals negative 15. And we've got 5, 5. I am okay with you using the LinSolve to solve these. Okay? There is one that is no solution. Okay? Everything else is an ordered pair, and they're all nice and pretty.